Hey everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday. It is the 1st of October, 2025. It's currently 9:30 p.m. on the West Coast, 11:30. Obviously, I meant to say AM. It's 9:30 AM on the West Coast, 11:30 AM on the East Coast Festival. Remember, this is never financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is simply a video blog on how one trader sees the market, and everyone needs to take responsibility for their own decisions. Before I get into stocks, I'm going to start today or tomorrow, whenever the hell I get time, a new section on the forum about this book, How to Make Money in Stocks by William O'Neill. It is, in my opinion, the Bible on this stuff in terms of technical analysis, but combining not just technicals. I just don't think chart patterns alone are enough to absolutely dominate and do well. I think you need a combination of charts combined with an understanding of what leadership looks like and relative strength and growth in earnings, okay, which is basic fundamental stuff. This book just is the best book out there at explaining how it all works. Right, I'm going to start to save people time because not everyone wants to read a thick book. I'm going to get a new thing on this forum and I'm going to crunch it down to the basics of it, and so watch out for that. I've been meaning to do it for a while, but I've been rereading the book lately. I've probably read that book like 100 times, right? But I think it'll be good. I think it'll be worthwhile for a lot of people. So I'll get started on that as soon as I can. Now, some stocks that I've been talking about lately. Okay, I actually took a loss in CAY. Okay, you can see my stop loss line. So I got filled at 255 and out of that. So in here 275, out here 255, quick loss. That is a manageable loss. Okay, and this is a classic cap raise. Great setup. I'm just going to continue to take these setups. And it's a loss. Okay, and just there's no I'm not analyzing it. What did I do wrong? How could have I avoided that loss? I'm like, I couldn't have avoided a loss. It's just life, okay? If you want to be a trader, get used to losing 50% of the time, right? Just kind of like a Major League Baseball team loses close to 50% of the time. It is part of the game, right? Now, Zim still in it. Loves a nice wick during the day. This is just its opening candle today, but we'll see how it closes. BCI going well. Okay, bang, I have trimmed a little bit on BCI, but that was perfection, wasn't it? Except for the issued number, but that didn't seem to bother it. It is interesting. I've talked about this so many times, how the significance of the issued number of shares. I don't know. I zigzag, don't I? Like sometimes I think it's useless and you shouldn't look at it, and sometimes I think you should. So, who knows, guys? I mean, I'm sure you'll have your own opinions, but I can't make my opinion up on it. So I've just so many examples I can show you of stocks with 6 billion issued shares that just fly and have the nicest trends. And there's so many examples of the others, and I'm like, there's no evidence here. I just don't, and that's personal opinion, all right? Anecdotal personal opinion, right? So anyway, that is that. Let's just get on with some new stuff. I just want to bear with me as I talk about some of these setups. T&E, right, has a relative strength of 85. Now let's get rid of that to just create a bit more room on the space. It is a great business, right, with growing revenue and all that sort of stuff. Long-term uptrend, flagging and channeling here, okay? And we've been talking about it a bit on the forum. It's obviously having this pullback. And I look at this and think, okay, like, I know I like this stock. I know it's got growing earnings and growing everything. It's a good sector, it's a good space, and it has relative strength above 80, okay? I'm like, okay, well, obviously the obvious place to enter that is on a break of this big channel, but it's also setting up this little cheat here that gives me incredibly good risk reward, right? So I like this setup. Obviously, it's not without risk because you got overhead supply, got oversupply. It might rally up and then dump, okay? But the way I address setups like this, which I actually really like, is I will take, say, a third or half of my position here with a little tight stop, and then I'll put another third or half on the break here, okay? I'll be scaling into that, all right? And I like doing that because, it just obviously lowers your average price, but if you can get it right, it really does help the end result. Plus, it just mitigates a bit of risk. Like if this comes, it fakes, my stop is so tight on it that it's going to be just a tiny little paper cut. So watching TNE pretty closely. What else was there? I do think this is kind of interesting, this MSB. It was chatted a bit about on the forum. I think Mike was saying that, Trader Mike was saying he wanted to settle and chill here a bit longer, which 100% agree with. It's just, if this is forming what a little handle here, right? Okay, it's not much of a handle yet, is it? Let's just imagine that with 5 or 6 more days, just bang, 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 boom, right? And then you've got yourself a little VCP on the, right at that resistance, and I think that's pretty high probability of that can occur. So watching that. Watching WA1, just in this mining sector, I obviously gave the symmetrical triangle that kind of went to the apex of it and faltered, and it didn't really snap out of it. But then it just it didn't go down, did it? It just based, and it's just tightening. Okay, just tightening here in this little range, and I look at that and okay, it's in one of the best sectors. This is a tight range, right? Like I can get good risk reward on this guy. Enter here, stop here, bang. Okay, it's just a good informed way to bet on stuff. Okay, and let's have a look what its relative strength is, because 88, right? So I'm going to go into this more in detail on the forum about William O'Neill's rules, but he pretty much, it needs to be over 80. And he goes into details of that. But that's my basic thing too, right? It's like all my filters, it's like I'm looking at relative strength that names at 80, because the theory is, right, you can have a bunch of, like, let's just look at semiconductor stocks here. I'm just going to go on a tiny little diversion. Like NVDA, this is the leader, right? No one is arguing that this isn't the leader. Okay, let's have a look at its relative strength. Yeah, damn it. Okay. It's 93, and then you look at like some of the other chip stocks like AMD. Relative strength 86. It's not that bad. Let's have a look at what's his relative strength? 53. Okay, so like there will be a lot of players in a sector, but usually there's only 2 to 3 absolute winners, and you got to back those winners. It's so vital to figure out what other leaders within the strongest sectors, because that's where most of the returns are. Like if you look at most returns, what NVIDIA's done, it's been crazy. Okay, but if you're back in semi stocks that are shit and not the leaders, you haven't really done that well. So anyway, I will expand on this a lot more in on the forum. Okay, but I think it really is that secret sauce, that missing edge that a lot of traders have. Like there's so many people I meet, they're like great at looking at charts. I'll post charts to the forum and stuff, but if it's a laggard, like if it's a stock that's not one of the strongest in its sector, then its odds of having a huge move are just much lower, right? So anyway, let's just go into that more later. Just looking at little COG here, just giving me these tiny little inside bars. And it's only, this is today's, right? So it's only been open for an hour, but I like these little setups. Okay, remember the little one I had in ABB, right, that I traded? This little breakout here, bang, right? Cog maybe giving us another little one. So I like these, not for big position trades, but 98 relative strength, by the way, but just little opportunities to get in, kind of pad my bank account, trading account, make some quick cash, get the hell out. Okay, that is ASX. Now let me just quickly there are others obviously set on the ASX, but TNE, MSB, WA1 and COG, the only ones I really wanted to chat about in terms of new ones this second. On the US, right, I've got a new position on the video. I was chatting to Polo the other night. Let me get rid of this so it can just be clearer. Okay, I got half my position on here and a break of this inside bar, all right, bang, and then I've got the other half on here and a break of all-time highs. Probably one of the biggest positions I've had recently, and in my, the way I view it is that this is my setup. This is like tightening. This is like you put a little arc here. It's like kind of like a little kind of VCP source of kind of base, isn't it? It's in the strongest sector. It's leading the AI boom. It's got 70-something% revenue growth for last year. Its earnings are out the yin yang just in terms of growing. And so this is what I want. I get to focus on the leaders, okay? And so I'm in NVIDIA. Let's see how it goes. The other, obviously, and this has been strong for ages, but defense names. Okay, so let me just get you this again. I just relative strength of 91. That's good. Okay, this guy's just setting up here in the defense and aerospace sector. And this guy can move, right? Like that's a decent little pattern here, 46 to 62. So could expect a decent kind of move if it breaks out of that base. So it's just VCPing away and just gave an inside bar last night. If it gave another few, that would be amazing. What else was there? MS, just talking about leaders, okay? There's a few things you can do when you're looking for new trades. You can do millions of scans and trade breakouts in, names you've never heard of. And that could be great. Like, for those on the forum, there was this amazing trade that Sally did on Hover, HOVR. I was in that as well, but I'd never heard of that bloody thing before. But obviously following leaders is another way. Here's Microsoft, right? Long-term uptrend, just tiny little tightness there. It's a great way to get in for a small risk reward. But then another of the outright leaders in the market is PLTR, okay, which is just now tightening again right below old highs here, okay. That's really what I'm focused on, be honest. Like, I don't really want another US position until NVIDIA's just showed its hand a little bit, because I'm pretty heavy, and if the market just got hammered on some bad event tonight and I took this new position, which is a large section of my account plus another one or two, then my exposed risk is going to be too high, right? So just got to chill out a bit, let NVIDIA do its thing a little bit, and then if possible add on some other stuff. Okay, if you're not in the trading room, get in there, guys. I'm going to be launching this new book thing on Lee Monell's book soon, and it should be fun. Get amongst it. No question is dumb. We all started out once. Cheers, catch up.